Right, I think it's kind of interesting seeing what people are into because it feels like a lot of the manosphere type people don't really bother to ever have any kind of thoughtful perspective on that. The attitude is much more like, I'm dope. I did this. It's all hard work. You can do it too. Caught my course. It's
Yeah.
just like somehow that opinion appeals to a very different segment of society, because I did see that clip go viral on Twitter, so I can't like deny that it had an audience who appreciated that sentiment.
Yeah.
But it feels like the audience for the other sentiment of you can do it too, all you have to do is work hard, that audience is bigger.
Yeah, I mean, it's empowering. If
Yeah.
I'm an individual and I'm watching a clip, I don't really want to care about what's happening societally or, like systemically or whatever, because I can't change that.
Right.
So if you tell me I'm the solution and I can do everything to change my life and I control everything and I can fix this, that's great. And I don't disagree that. I think that's, if I'm an individual looking at a problem, that's how I want to think about it. But this is where it comes back to, like, even the whole fat phobia thing and like society engineering itself. I'm like, yes, you can encourage people to go to the gym and eat well, and you can do that, but you can also set things up business-wise, society-wise, to make it more efficient for people. Don't make it so that a gym is 1 hour away. Don't make it so that the grocery stores are 45-minute drive away. Don't make it so that the way we plan the city means that you gotta drive everywhere and you can't have natural. There's ways in which we can get better outcomes for society without putting everything always on the individual.
But
that's why I'm thinking about better outcomes.
Capitalism is supposed to account for that, because the grocery store is supposed to want to be near the customers, and they should, if they are a profit-seeking firm, that they should have no reason not to want to go be near the paying customers, right? Because that's what people always try to make the argument too of, like, oh, the hood is full of liquor stores, and it's like, well, the liquor stores are only going to operate wherever they feel that they can be profitable, right?
Sure.
It's not like a pestilence that's being forced upon you. It's just the fact that people are actually buying it, which obviously like feeds back into like it being readily available, so more people are likely to drink and stuff. But there's plenty of places to get alcohol near my house. I might have to go to the grocery store instead of the liquor store, but it's still right there,
Absolutely. But I think you can't discount the whole concept of convenience. Whilst the fast food joints are competing with like the restaurant, like the grocery stores, for example, the profit margins for the grocery store are probably not nearly as high as a fast food joint. So they probably have more income, more money to work with, much better zoning in that regards. And so for them, it's much easier for them to maximize their profits, right? So when you're looking at this stuff, I don't disagree that the reason why the liquor stores go there is because they have that option. I just think that that's where society comes in. Because even though you want to think of capitalism as this great thing that just makes everything work, we have regulations in place because we recognize the ways in which capitalism can be bad,
Right.
or it can be going too far in towards of like being hyper predatory on the consumer.
And when I think about regulations when it comes to food, I think that's such an interesting idea, because at one point in Manhattan, or maybe it was Times Square, I forget, but they banned like soft drinks over a certain size.
Yeah.
And that's a cliche like American thing, is that people come from other countries and they're like, holy fuck, how is your large soda is this big, where in London it might be this big, and it's like pretty understandable. But then there does feel like there's something kind of distinctly un-American about outlawing people being able to sell a certain size beverage, even though the outcome of that inevitably is going to be like less people in the hospital, less obesity, less diabetes, etc. But I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it just doesn't really 100% sit right with me. Same thing with cigarettes.
Yeah, but that's why you make adjustments. There was a time and place where you guys paid your tributes to the monarchy, and you guys said, fuck that, we're going to change the way America's run, and now we're going to run it this way. Things can evolve and adapt, right? If you're realizing this is getting constant bad outcomes, you change things. For example, tobacco products before were at a certain price. Now they tax the fuck out of it. So you get a $20 tobacco, like cigarettes, for example, like $10 to $15 of it goes to the government at certain points, just to make it less profitable and less present. I think I'm fine with society making certain decisions if it comes to a better outcome for society, but we always want to measure that between people's choice, personal freedoms. But when it comes to stuff like food, I don't mind if people want to be able to choose the worst foods in the world. It's different when the worst foods are like, the way that they're set up is like to be super addictive.
Yeah.
Like they literally change your brain chemistry when it comes to like sugars and stuff like that. And so if it's leading to people dying like crazy, if you're getting a population that can't work because they're too obese and all this stuff, you want to encourage the personal accountability. But I'm not mad at the government coming and saying like, listen, people aren't making these choices, so why don't we just cut this shit out as an option for them, because we're losing people in the workforce, we're losing people in their communities. And I get the whole personal accountability thing and the personal choice, but I remember when the pandemic hit, like, Black people especially were affected by COVID just because obesity and pre-existing conditions were really present there.
Right.
High blood pressure, the foods that we eat.
Less available,
And so that's why
available
black people
testing.
That's why black people were overrepresented when it came to dying from COVID.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they had those problems. And so part of me thinks like, damn, you lose so many people already to crime and all this other stuff. Now losing folks to things that are preventable with better choices. You know what I'm saying? I just wish that wasn't the case.
But what if I want to start a restaurant and I want to serve the least healthy food that you could ever conceive of? I want to have triple fried chicken with the mac and cheese with acidic death sauce on it. I want the average meal to be like 6,000 calories. And it's just like the worst place on earth. But do you really feel like the government should be able to tell me that I can't open that restaurant? Within reason, there are some things that they should be able to tell me, but I just feel like me serving unhealthy food should not be something that they have a say in.
Okay, so there's a balance, right? If you want to do that and you're a one-off, that's one thing.
Right, because then once it becomes systematic, this is the...
because even you're going to start to feel it. When your neighbors are dying, when people you know are dying from the foods that maybe you didn't serve, but some dude across the street, you're going to feel differently about that whole idea, right? Most folks start to change the way they see drugs and anything like that once it affects their communities. I think people are going to feel the same way about these foods as they become much more of a problem.
I was thinking that the other day. I was watching a documentary about the Bang Energy CEO.
Yeah.
A little YouTube documentary about him. And I mean, I don't know if I could live with myself if I woke up every day and that's what I had to fucking do to the world. It's just like push this absolutely toxic, terrible concoction. I feel I have a completely clean conscience about having conversations on camera. You know, like what we have done over the last half hour or whatever is totally fine by me. I don't feel like we've brought any negativity into the world. It's all good. I have no qualms with this. Yeah. But if I was having to convince people to buy super creatine Bang Energy every day, I don't know. Maybe I could do it to the point where I made a bunch of money, but I think I would just be looking for an off-ramp as soon as I started to really see success. If my day-to-day routine was that mundane or not even mundane, I'm sure it's exciting, but it's just so stupid and senseless. There's no purpose to it.
I actually don't know what's so bad about Bang. I don't even know what the brand is.
I mean, I'm probably being dishonest by acting like it's that much worse than any other energy drink, you know, but it's probably the most extreme energy drink that you could buy in terms of caffeine and everything else that's in it. And they're dealing with massive lawsuits because they basically were lying to the American people saying that, or the world saying that there was super creatine in it, which it ended up being that there was no creatine in it. So they got like a $700 million judgment or something. It's a gnarly story. If you want to look up this YouTube video, I'm sure pop right up on YouTube. But
yeah. I just to come back to the original point, I think the way that we're set up a lot of times in North America in general is not efficient towards good outcomes for regular folks.
Right.
And so I look at other places in their lifestyle and I'm just like, well, just these minor changes. You don't have to become a millionaire to be able to get a chef and all this stuff. Just minor changes you can make. You can empower folks to make better choices for their life. And that means they live longer. They get to be present for their kids longer. They get to be in their communities. They have more opportunity to meet their potential. Because when you feel better, you do better. You know what I mean? You probably speak to that. You're much more motivated when you feel healthy.
Right.
And you're moving about efficiently than when you aren't. And so all these things I think about, like, I think would just lead to much happier people.
In the last 2 months, I've lost about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm all the way in. All the shit, like my whole life, dieting, whatever, I was kind of on, off, whatever. It's like you read the list of all the things that you should do, and you do half of them, and you keep doing some stuff. You keep drinking. Everybody keeps drinking, usually, even when they're trying to lose weight, whatever. But I've just decided to be like all in. I mean, meal prep, so like that is totally taken care of. I'm working out more than I ever have in my life. Let me tell you, is like the 20 pounds is not even like half the story because my lungs feel amazing. I just feel great walking around. I just like everything about existing just feels infinitely better having lost 20 pounds. And when I think about some people out there who have, you know, like hundreds of pounds that they could potentially lose, I mean, it is a sinister thing to try to convince people that there is not a lot to be gained in terms of your quality of life by getting in shape. Yo, we just hit 400,000 subscribers right here on the Clips channel. So if you want to help us out, click subscribe, get us to 500K.